Hello and welcome to episode 134 of the Walk in Love podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Brooke.
And today we are going to talk about speaking life. One with a clap.
Nice.
Not the snap. Thank you for listening and making us a part of your week or watching if you're choosing to watch on YouTube. If you are on YouTube or you're listening, you might want to go to YouTube and see that Brooke and I are wearing brand new shirts. I am wearing the Speak Life design, which is big, big and bold.
Big.
Yeah. So my body's changing. And
Kid, have a seat. We need to talk. Oh gosh, that day will come with our children.
But it'll be...
And I will be sweating profusely. And then I will say, this is also a change that'll happen to your body. You'll start sweating profusely all the time. There we go.
And Brooke has the Do Not Worry
Are you
flower.
okay?
I'm okay.
Are you?
I'm going to make it. Describe that shirt, though.
The physical shirt. Because
Yeah.
we've done Do Not Worry. This is a repeat. Like, we're bringing this back. The shirt, first of all, it's a very cool...
Yam color.
It is like a sweet potato. That's exactly the color it is. I love that. Yam. Oh, yam. Okay. So I was going to make a joke about yam, and I couldn't get there fast enough. It's not a heavyweight tea, but it's not a regular tea.
No.
It's like an in-between mid-weight.
It
It's a
feels
little
like you've
thicker.
worn it 1,000 times.
Yeah, in a good way.
In a good way. So,
I'm a fan. Don't we have another one that
yeah, we have
we have this mid-weight item in a couple things, right?
Yeah, here.
This?
Joy comes in the morning. Yep.
Yeah.
So a lot of great items. We did the full preview on our Instagram, which is now highlighted. And because the algorithm wants to crush us into oblivion, you will probably have to type our name into the search bar and then click on us and then go there and then watch.
Yeah.
Because
Watch the whole thing. Don't exit before it's over.
Please.
Or the algorithm will hate us even more.
So thank you for those of you who listened and left a review last week. We are on our climb to 1,000 reviews on Apple Podcasts app. We are at 650.
It's the climb.
And
Wow.
and we are also at 253 on our climb to 500 on Spotify. So
Whoa,
whether you
did that go up quite a bit?
Yeah, both of them went up quite a bit.
Wow. That's exciting.
So if you guys would leave a review on wherever you listen, that would be great, because it, like we said last week, everything is algorithmatized. Everything's algorithmatized. And it makes it hard sometimes to get in front of eyeballs. And so 1,000 reviews on Apple Podcast is like the sweet spot, apparently. And
We have to add that.
We're just saying.
We have to add the
What
apparent.
is it from?
It's that little kid who's being interviewed on the news, and he's like 8.
No.
He's at some fair or theme park or something, and he's like, apparently,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. Apparently.
I also think,
Kid.
I feel like I'm picturing Brian Regan saying it.
Oh, yeah. It might be in that original stand-up.
And so, so we have a goal of 1,000 reviews on Apple Podcast and 500 on Spotify. So if you listen and you enjoy what we have, please leave a review. That would mean the world to us. And we're going to start reading the reviews again. That's something we used to do.
Yes,
We
review
got
of the
away
week.
from it. There were a lot this week, and I started reading them and getting emotional.
Nice.
Because I am really trying to believe the things that people write. Because for a long, long time, I would just read it and be like, oh, that's nice. Don't let it
They don't
sink.
really mean that,
Yeah,
but that's nice. That's a kind thing.
That's nice,
yeah.
but
Lies from the pit.
yeah. But all the butt clenchers are liars. So I'm trying to believe them. So I could only read a few because I was getting emotional. So, and this one specifically. So this one's a title. It's called Better Than a Scratchy Towel. 5 stars. 1 star.
Yeah.
In the words of TJ, I can't really fully explain what it's done, only that it's done something beautiful to my soul. This podcast, all 133 episodes, have been such a gift to me, my marriage, and beyond. Brooke and TJ are hilarious, relatable, and inspiring. It has been so fun to journey through life with them via this podcast. Listening to them practically live out obedience to our Heavenly Father while sharing how scary it can be at times. Chef's kiss. The only thing better would be if carpivore really became a reality. Okay, I love you. Bye.
Hey.
Mama her.
If we get carpivore off the ground,
I think
we're going to have to change it to a 6-star rating. Like our podcast will no longer be 5 stars. It'll be worthy of 6 stars.
Yeah.
So I need all the rating systems to prepare for that.
Yeah, we're still just in pre-development.
Yeah.
We're not in pre-development. We're in just the step before.
Right.
But
where we have a terrible idea and we don't know what to do with it.
No. I'm sorry. Did you
I mean, it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, sometimes it's brilliant.
Brilliant idea.
I think what we're doing is we're just like the ground swell is growing for carpivore.
Yeah.
And there will be a point where it reaches, it's too loud to ignore.
It is.
And we'll probably
people will be clamoring for it.
Yeah, governments will be involved.
And finally,
celebrities will want a piece.
I don't want the government involved.
Yeah, I don't either. So we have to,
we have to avoid the government at all costs.
As a group of butt clenchers, we have to unite.
Yeah.
Clench
and
together.
And get this done.
Clench together in the name of carpivore.
Okay.
Just send me your social security card and your credit card. Okay. And then the YouTube comment of the week, which I think Brooke is going to love, comes from Laura Kerwin. Brooke and TJ.
Okay.
Although it's a lowercase j, which I'm not a huge fan of.
All right. Sometimes, full disclosure, when you were off Instagram for the month, quite a few times when I had to type your name quickly, there were no periods.
Ugh.
And then every once in a while, because it's not me, I'm not trying to type the lowercase j. It's that the phone.
Well, I'm fine. It's just that life is pointless and nothing matters, and I'm always tired. Also, I can't sleep. I'm overeating. None of my old hobbies interest me.
That's what I feel like when there's a lowercase
Sometimes the phone makes it a lowercase j, and it's just the way it is.
I'll allow it. I'm not going to like it, but I'll allow it. Brooke and TJ, my friend and I request things we buy and love from Costco segment. So new segment, Costco finds. Put it in the cart, honey. That's the audio.
That's the audio. Yeah. I love that we don't actually make buttons for our own audio. You just say them every time.
Costco finds.
Put it in the cart,
honey.
All right. Well, Costco find number 1, and I'm currently devastated because they're out of stock. And I'm deeply afraid that means they're going away. I don't think they really are. I think ours just sometimes is weird. The Bear Chicken Nuggets, BARE, they look like Chick-fil-A nuggets.
And they sort of taste like them.
And if you cook them a little hotter and a little longer than the air fryer instructions on the back of the bag,
absolutely,
they do taste like Chick-fil-A nuggets.
They're crispy.
They are so good. But here's the thing. They're good enough to eat on their own, which we do. The girls do. But then you can sauce them up, and they look like I've been wanting to make my own version of a General Tso's chicken.
Yeah.
Where I air fry those and then I toss them in something with all the other things.
So it's like Costco finds Bear Chicken Nuggets.
I feel very blessed.
Not in stock anymore.
Yeah. But hey, check yours. Because they might be.
Check yours.
Check your Costco.
Check your Costco, folks. No. So passionate.
Okay.
Should people message you photos?
Yeah, if you find it. I got a text. Somebody found hard salami the other day.
Oh, nice.
They said, "Is this it?" And I said, "It is." Put it in the cart.
Put it in the cart, honey. So, the Maui Costco, from what we've heard, and I think it's true, is the highest grossing Costco on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And that does make sense to me because, one, anybody that lives here shops there. And two,
anybody that vacations here shops there.
Every time a plane lands,
it's about every 6 minutes, it feels like, if you look outside.
No, it's it's just jam packed.
Mm-hmm.
And so occasionally when we're there, we see interesting things happen. Because you'll just see the normal everyday Costco shopping cart, fruits and veggies and diapers and all that kind of stuff. Then you'll see the tourist Costco shop cart.
Yeah.
Which is always funny because it's a bottle of booze, 24 water bottles, and a boogie board. Mm-hmm. and in my mind,
and a case of Chobani yogurt.
And in my mind, they're always all being used together. I don't know why I do this game, but I play this game with myself where I'm like, okay, what's the
on the boogie board? Yeah, water in one hand, booze in the other.
Just having the time of their life.
Coasting out to get their Chobani.
Put it in the cart, honey. But you overheard a pretty funny conversation last time you were at Costco.
Well, it was about the Chobani. It This girl, she's maybe 11 or 12. She's looking right at her mom in the eyes, being as convincing as she can be. Mom, I promise you, I can eat this much yogurt in 6 days. I can do it. Mom, I can do it. And the mom's just like, you can just see her internal, like, do I just let her get the case of yogurt? There's no way she's going to eat all this yogurt.
Wasting 4 of them at least.
But it was funny.
Yeah.
I smirked as I walked by and thought,
come on, Mom.
Yeah.
Don't ruin my vacation. Yeah.
They bring her to Maui and her vacation's ruined because she doesn't get her yogurt cups.
Yeah. So great suggestion, Laura, on the Costco Find segment.
I like
Put it in
it.
the cart, honey. Thank you for leaving reviews and commenting and doing all the things that help us in the algorithm. I mean, it really means a whole lot to us, especially as we head towards a collection release.
It really helps.
Yes.
Like it really does. I know it feels silly because I feel like, especially on Instagram,
Just like everybody asks for it. You know,
oh no, what I was going to say is like, I'm so at the point where even I don't even like photos because like that used to be the thing. Like you had to like it. And now I find myself just scrolling and I don't like as much. But whenever I'm like, no, I like this person and their business. I want to see their stuff. I remember to like it or save it.
Right.
I don't even need to go back to it. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell the algorithm, I want to see these things.
Yeah. And it just helps a ton. It helps both you see it as a follower, and then it helps us reach non-followers who maybe like you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's just getting more and more challenging. And so we appreciate any help that we can get. And then I also keep forgetting to say this every episode, but we do give away a free t-shirt every episode.
Yeah.
If you share about the podcast on your story and tag us. And right now, the people that are sharing, I think they're up against
Chances
one other
of winning
person,
are pretty high.
or whatever. Yeah. And so, yeah, so it just means the world to us. And we just, I feel like I'm entering a stage of life, and maybe this is like, I feel like I want to be countercultural. Like that's always kind of my goal.
Okay.
And I feel like culture right now is like never ask for anything. Just beat around the bush, make, be passive aggressive about the things that you need in life. Yeah. And that's like both in just everyday life. But I think like it's being like taught to us that like, if I need something from my wife, I shouldn't just ask her for it. I should like...
Right. That's too direct or that's too forceful.
Yeah, for whatever reason. And so I'm just like to the point now where I'm like, if you leave a review, that is awesome for us. Like, I don't want to just be like, it'd be great, like, well, leave a review.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to get to 1,000 reviews. It would help us a ton. Please leave one.
Right.
And like, I think some people are like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like last collection.
The direct language.
Last collection I posted on my personal Instagram, the shop is open. Go buy a t-shirt. And someone messaged me, was like, hey man, is everything okay? Like, is your business struggling? Like,
right.
It was,
because you actually asked for it.
And how weird is that now that like we read so much into what people, like if someone asks for something, we think
if they're direct, it must mean they're desperate.
Yeah.
That's like the general consensus of, or of course there's a version of people who are direct and they're just rude and names I won't say on this. Like there's that kind of direct. We're not talking about that.
They are
the world.
Yes. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And so, but what's crazy is that we then, when our kids need something and they're being like, because June does this and she's like, never mind. And we're just like, no, we want you to be confident in what you're asking for.
Say what you want to say.
We want to know what is on your heart and what you need.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm just kind of leaning into that a little bit more.
Cool.
So I haven't asked this question in a while, but I'm going to ask it right now.
Uh-oh.
How was your week?
I thought you were going to be funny and ask me some algebra question. I was like, I have no idea how to solve for X. I've never known. Truth be told,
I thought X meant
what is
multiply.
X? My week was good. Today for us is a Sunday. And this is how I have to say it out loud because otherwise I forget everything in between last Sunday and this Sunday. Wow. It's been a week.
It's been like a month.
I think. We both start rubbing our faces like, yeah. I mean, my parents were on island a little bit ago.
For 8 days.
I forget what day they left. On like a Thursday, I think. Yep. And then, so with that, they left on a Thursday. We recorded last week's on a Sunday. And then on Tuesday, my brother and his whole family arrived. And Kelsey's mom, Gigi. Island Gigi. She's made it.
Yeah, she's made it. She's here.
She's here.
And we love it.
Yes. And so it's been wonderful, but like it's a lot to host people. And we know that, and we set ourselves up for that, and we talk about it, and was one of our hearts like behind why we live here and why all the things. It's like all good things, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't take a lot of effort and planning and thinking, and like a Costco trip to feed 12 people for 10 days. Like I need to go do another one today. Yeah. Like it's a lot to think about. And the fun part is that we get to play tourists when people come.
Yep.
And we get to go do the fun things too.
But that also is a little bit of a
I've done more like
part too, because
rinsing of beach toys and packing snacks and food prep, than I've done in quite a while.
I made the joke when your parents were here that I was like, I think I'm stuck in a loop of cleaning the kitchen.
Yeah.
It felt like all I did was like clean it after each meal, because if we don't have enough silverware, we don't have enough cups, we don't like, but yeah, it's like, it's so good to have people here and host people and all that stuff. But then there's also part of it that you're just like, and I was feeling that this week is like, they are on vacation. I am not on vacation.
Correct.
Like I have not.
They set themselves up to be like, we're going on vacation. Yep. We're going to leave. We get all of our work done before, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And we're like, nope.
We have a big collection coming out on the 25th. And so it's just like, okay, we need to just make it work. So I worked a little bit this morning. I've worked in the afternoons a little bit here and there, but it definitely is like, that part is hard for me. And I know that. And it's especially hard for me this year because this year's just been more challenging.
Yeah.
And so, but it's so good, but I definitely think it's just like, I'm not looking forward to your family leaving.
Correct.
I'm looking forward to, like, we have a long stretch without any visitors.
Yes.
And it's like, we're about to start homeschool. We have the biggest collection of the year coming. And so like, there will be some big moments. We have a couple of trips we're doing to the mainland. And, I just think it's like, we're getting, I'm just like excited to be in that rhythm and jump back into
I feel like it's similar to, I always say how much I love back to school time.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not going back to school and my kids aren't even like leaving to go to a school, they're homeschooled, but it does. It feels like this rhythm and this sort of like, I kind of know what to expect to step into. And of course, by the end of the school year, I'm ready to abandon all that and have summer. Like, but
speaking of trips that we have, Brooke and I are going to, in October, we're going to Las Vegas, Nevada to go to the When We Were Young music festival, which is like Dashboard, Jimmy Eat World,
Avril Lavigne,
Taking Back Sunday, My Chemical Romance, like all the bands we used to listen to in high school and college.
Yeah.
And we were more going to go with friends, but because of their travel schedule, they just can't go. So we have 2 tickets. They're going to try to sell 2 tickets. So
at some point,
if for some reason you're interested in that concert, I think it's on the 29th of October, and you want to go, message
for realsies.
Like for realsies.
Not, that'd be fun. No, like for real, you will buy their tickets off of them and fly yourselves there and stay the night because you're interested.
Yeah. And I think the ticket price is on the website, but if not, I think they're a few $100 for sure.
Yeah.
I just can't remember the exact amount.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I just thought of that.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be fun.
It's going to be great. Pop out the old studded belt. Okay. So on August 25th, we are going to launch the Speak Life collection, which will be our second to last collection of the year. And we are asking that if the podcast adds value to your life and you want to support us by buying something, this collection is the way to do that. So we will share a discount code at some point during this episode and next week's episode.
Okay.
Because I've noticed that as I look at the podcast analytics, there's a big group of you who get to every episode about a week late.
Yeah.
And I don't know if your app's not refreshing right or whatever, or if that's just the rhythm that you're in. No judgment here. But I just want to make sure that everyone can get the code in time. So we'll share it at some point this week. And we only have 2 more collections this week. This year. And we're actually not doing any more teas of the month.
Right.
It's just not working for the way that it's just not quite right. Like there's something about it that's just not quite right for me. And I don't like the way it feels, and I don't like the workflow that it has. And so we're going to be done with those. And so we'll just have the fall collection and the winter collection, Christmas collection, and that will be it. And so today we are going to talk about the Speak Life design. because the collection is called the Speak Life Collection, which is funny because like this design is only on one item. It's only on a black t-shirt.
Yeah.
But I
do feel like it speaks for the whole collection.
Yeah. I just feel like it had, like culturally right now, it is a very negative time to be alive. Everyone is negative for the most part. Like not everyone, that's a broad brush, but there's so much negativity.
There you go.
Coursing through
everywhere.
Modern culture.
Yeah.
And we all fall into it. Like I fall into it, you fall into it, Brooke falls into it. Like whenever, if you get with a group of friends, like there's a lot of negativity that you talk about. Like talk about how bad your service was, or the fact that this bad thing happened on the airplane, or like, it's just like Twitter culture.
Well, there's complaining, which is, it's a form of negativity. Yeah. It's very accepted. And then there's just like literal, like Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
Negative.
Yep.
And then there's like everything's catastrophic negative.
Uh-huh.
And then there's just like you spend too much time on the internet reading the news negative. Like I feel like there's so many forms that it can take. Because like I don't do a couple of those, but I definitely do some of the others.
And even if you don't even if you are a pretty positive person, which I would say that Brooke and I both are pretty positive, you are just met with negativity.
Yes.
If you spend any time on the internet, if you watch the news, if you go to the gym or the restaurant, like if you just go anywhere, you're definitely going to run into negativity. And so we thought like this collection, Speak Life, it's full of phrases that will speak life both to you as the person wearing it, a reminder to you, reminders you can wear, and to the person that you're maybe talking to or interacting with. And so we just felt like it encompassed really well what this collection was and the heart behind it for us. And so we wanted to talk about the Speak Life design today. And before I have like 3 prompts that I want to kind of hit.
Okay.
It's more like sermon style.
Oh, wow.
So here's what I wanted to do today on the podcast. Highlight the power of your words, tongue, and what you say. Mm-hmm. Talk about the ways we try to speak life to each other and to ourselves, me and you individually. Mm-hmm. And then try to talk about ways to improve speaking life in areas where we really struggle with it in our lives. But before we get into that conversation, I just want to read a bunch of scripture.
Okay.
Because if you
Should we alternate?
Yeah, sure.
Ooh.
Should we play? What was that game? Popcorn?
You, me, you, me, you.
Isn't that like a game?
Popcorn? Well, yeah.
Game?
Isn't that just like how you read in a classroom? Like you just...
Teacher yells popcorn and then you say someone else's name?
Do you pick the person?
I don't know. I was always so scared to read out loud.
I don't know. I was still trying to solve for X.
And so there's so much written about speaking your tongue, the words you say in the Bible.
Yeah.
And so we just wanted to, I just Googled it and was like, I'm going to find some that I think are going to be encouraging for today.
Did our blog post come up?
So the first one is 1 Peter 3:10. For whoever would love life and see good days must keep their tongue from evil and their lips from deceitful speech.
Your paper's right in front of your face when you read on the video. Colossians 4:6. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone.
Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building up others according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen.
Proverbs 10:19. Sin is not ended by multiplying words, but by the prudent hold of their tongues.
Proverbs 15:4. The soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a perverse tongue crushes the spirit.
Matthew 15:11. What goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them.
Proverbs 21:23. Those who guard their mouths and their tongue keep themselves from calamity.
Psalm 141:3. Set a guard over my mouth, Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips.
Do you want to do the next one and I'll do the long one? Or do you want to do the long one?
Yeah, sure. All this talk about salt and lips. I burnt my lips so badly at the beach the last few days that my bottom lip, like it's painful right now to talk. It was so swollen this morning when I woke up and I was like, T, look at my bottom lip. It's so swollen. The look you gave me was like, monster, get out of my bed.
All right. Listen up, monster feet. First of all, Daisy is sleeping in our closet right now in a pack and play.
Yes.
She is also teething. A tooth just broke last night.
Yeah.
So she had a rough night last night. So
Yeah.
we were kind of up and, doing the baby teething thing. Mm-hmm. 3, you woke me up from a dead sleep. And
I thought you were awake.
And so I'm laying down.
Yeah.
And you're like standing over me. So I think it was both one that I was like, what day is it? And 2, the angle. I was like, oh my word, we can't do the podcast. That was my first thought. Like, we have a collection coming out. I hope this one goes down.
Yeah, it was really bad this morning. But anyway, everybody's talking about their lips and their salt. I had sushi for lunch, and the soy sauce was like burning my mouth. So it's like talking about salt in my mouth. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about as I read these. Please keep watch over the door of my lips. Yes, Lord. Okay.
Because I did not yesterday at the beach.
No, I did not. James 1:19. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry.
And then the last one is James 3 through 12. When we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. Or take ships as an example. Although they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are steered by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants to go. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue is also a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and it itself on fire by hell. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures are being tamed and have been tamed by mankind, but no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. With the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth comes praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be. Can both fresh and salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers and sisters, can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. Whew.
Yeah, that'll get you.
Yeah, so I just like...
That'll get you.
It will get you. It will just immediately make you realize... It'll immediately convict. Like, that's what it'll do. And that's the power of the Word of God, is like to convict and correct and to set you on a path of sanctification.
Yeah.
And so while I was looking all these up to put them on our notes... By the way, how much does 8 sheets of paper cost?
I have no idea.
That's our budget today.
Oh, nice. So we're technically not no budget.
Yeah. So look
Wow.
out. I mean, technically we have a lot of equipment too.
Yeah.
But the 4 sheets of paper.
We're doing it. Well, 4 times both of us. So.
Yeah, I said 8.
Oh.
Anyways.
For X.
Okay, so yeah, I just like I know that.
Well, can I ask you a question? Or
Sure,
did you know what you were going to say?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
sometimes I start a sentence and I don't know where it's going.
So you read all those or hear all those. What do you think? Like, what's your like?
You want to start at the bottom?
Internal, like, ooh, okay.
So ways I think I need to improve.
Sure. Yeah.
So the first thing I think about is like actually it just happened today. So we are in a year financially that is not like other years.
Mm-hmm.
Both individually, we moved to a much more expensive place to live.
Right. So that's different.
That's different for us, just as a family. We're understanding what that looks like. As a society, we're in this weird time of inflation.
Yep.
So we're dealing with that as well. And then as a business, we're also dealing with that. And so today I sat down to create some of these amazing products available on August 25th. And I was like going through the costs of like what our cost was to like, to do some of the pricing. And even from the birthday collection to now, items that we're buying are more expensive.
Ooh, in 3 months' time.
And so, so
not even.
So for me, you came in and instantly you're like, "Are you okay?" And
I knew the second you turned around for a computer, you hadn't even said anything.
And so the first thing, I'm reading these. I just gone through doing all these verses. I'd done the podcast prep, and then I was working on products. And so in my mind, I'm thinking we are about to talk about speaking life to situations that are lifeless, or speaking life to hard situations, or speaking life into areas of our life where it is harder to feel the goodness of God. And so I'm doing these pricing things and this, and I'm realizing that like I need life spoken into this moment. And so that was the first thing that came into mind because it literally just happened like an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
That like an area of life where I need to speak life is that my financial security is not based on me and my skill or my like charisma or my ability or my luck or
Beautiful
whatever.
Ankles. Yeah.
My really great ankles or the potential of carpet for. It is based on the Lord will provide. And so like that, I need to speak that life over scenarios where I start to feel overwhelmed at just like, what are we going to do? Are we going to swallow this cost? Are we going to pass it on to the customer and then make them swallow it? But then like there's so much going into that.
So many moving parts.
And honestly, like I just want to encourage every business owner out there today that like, this is a weird year and hopefully it ends, but like, you're not in it alone. Like
no,
every business
everybody
owner
we've
that I talk to, maybe outside of construction is like, man, it's just been weird and down and hard and frustrating and, or it's not down, but it's not growing. And so if that's you out there, like I get it. But yeah, that was the first thing that popped into my head. And then the second thing is like, I need to speak life over my children over and over and over again, because they're like young minds absorb everything. And so if we live in a culture of negativity and depression and anxiety, like I need to counteract that culture.
Yes.
And stand firm for my children and speak life over them and in all things, big things, small things. And so, those were the two things that I thought about. Yeah,
that's good. I mean, ways that I feel like I need to improve speaking life. I mean, you might have some thoughts on this, but so you can correct me if you feel like I'm off. I don't know if mine is one category, like, oh, I struggle to speak it here or there. Mine is I struggle to speak it out loud, period. That's how I feel. I'm not saying I never do.
Right.
And I hope that my words, here on the podcast or in conversations or whatever, like do bring life. But again, as I always talk about, I often feel like I can't quite explain what I'm trying to say. And so a lot of times I don't. Somebody just asked on Instagram question box the other day. They were like, my husband or somebody is a 9 and they struggle. They keep everything internal and they don't tell me anything. How do I help them say it? Or something like that. And I answered that question and I was like, well, for me, it's been finding the language, because it's not that I don't desire to keep everything in. I'm not like, haha, I'm not telling you anything. Right. It's that I'm so stuck in my head trying to figure out how to say it that it ends up staying in my head. And so for me to speak life into my marriage, over my business, over my kids, in my relationships with friends, I need to be confident enough and I need to have that storehouse of scripture and truth and a lot. Like I need to be so filled inside that I can, that I'm like confident to literally speak it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that for you, that it's both a combination of the language, but then also there's like this other side that's like, I'm embarrassed if I don't have the language.
Yes.
Like you both have a hard time getting there, processing on your own because you don't want to say something embarrassing that you don't mean.
Yes.
When in reality, like that's how a lot of people process. Like, it takes me a while to get there. And then when I do, I'm like, okay, let's forget all that. Cause that was just me getting there.
Right.
And here's and then also like, but I honestly think like, this speaking life is again, just the opposite of the lie that we believe about ourselves, and so like you just saying like, I need to have an abundance of scripture, worship, things that speak against that lie that I don't know that I don't know how to speak life to people, or that I don't have anything to add to the conversation, or that I won't encourage my kids in some way.
Yeah. So that would be the one area for me. And then the other one is like, what's the verse that's like, from the heart comes, oh gosh, here we go, you guys. Were your words.
Are you saying see the world or sea world?
From your heart and your insides of your belly.
I remember one time when we were dating.
Yep. I remember this exact moment.
We're in the basement of my parents' house because that's where I was living. And there was like these big posters on the wall, because like when I moved out, my parents did my bedroom into like just like a hangout room. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Sam's room remained untouched until maybe 2 weeks ago. There's a couple of chairs behind that. I won't get into them. Wait.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you?
So when I moved in after my internship, I was basically sleeping on a futon in like a living room in the basement.
Yeah.
But on the wall were these memory lanes that our high school did for prom. Did every prom do this?
I don't think so.
Okay. So our high school had a memory lane room for prom where your parents would make like a poster board, a collage of you as a kid.
Yeah.
And then they would just hang them all up, and it would be like something to do at post prom.
Okay. So
all 4 of ours were hanging up there. And on one of them, it was a Bible verse that was like Psalm something. And we're sitting there watching TV or doing something, and Brooke's like, "What's that Bible verse?"
I asked you what the reference was. Like I was trying to get you to say it.
And I was like,
You were dead serious. Say it clearly so people can hear you through your giggles.
I can't remember what I said. I just remember that I was dead serious, and I was like, "The Lord will guide your heart and path," or something like that.
No, now I'm blanking because, of course, we're trying to talk about it. You combined the "He'll light the path" one with, I don't know. You took 2 pieces of one and with such confidence made it one. And I was like, that is definitely not a verse. Anyway. So the second thing for me would be that, like, I am so hard on myself inside, in my head, in my thoughts, that I'm not speaking life even in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I'm trying to change, because, you know, what I am dwelling on and thinking about and consuming internally is what will come out of me. And so I need to, like, I need to continue to, I'm not trying to be like, oh, just do better, Brooke, try harder. Like, that's not what I'm preaching at myself. I need to continue to recognize, which we've been talking about this, when those lies creep in or pop up that super knock me down, and then I need to combat them with truth. And so if I can keep that ratio inside more like at bay and like just more positive than negative, more gentle than not, like. And
I would almost say it's more of how God sees you versus how you see yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's better language for it.
Yeah. Because it's not just like, you know, like.
Then it becomes a lot easier to speak life over my kids or a hard situation or a hard day, and less like, well, I had to get it together internally, so now I need you to get it together externally. And I'm just not as.
Yeah, and I would say, like, we're not just saying like, oh, just always say positive things.
No.
You know, when Brooke came up and I was working, she was like, you know, she could tell, and we had a really serious conversation about just like what's going on this year, how we're feeling this year. But what we don't do is this is kind of how I would describe and define speaking life, is what we don't do is we don't wallow in the hardness of what life is. We celebrate the goodness of who God is. And that is like a big part of like speaking life into scenarios. Like, yes, we will all hit hard times. We have hit hard times. We'll hit relationally hard times, spiritually hard times.
Right.
We'll have hard times with our kids. We'll physically feel like we aren't where we want to be. Like, there's just a million different ways we will feel the frustration of a broken and fallen world.
Yes.
And I'm not just saying, well, just smile and keep on going. It's going to be great.
No, because that actually makes it worse. Like, you need to acknowledge where you're at. This is awful.
But I think what too many people do is they acknowledge where they are at, and they don't allow God to push them forward. They don't allow the Holy Spirit to say, okay, this is where I am. This is what I'm feeling. Spirit guide me. God lead me. And what he's leading me to is like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to remember the lion and the bear. I'm going to remember the other hard times we've had, or the other frustrating, like weird cultural moments we've had with financial situations. And I'm going to be confident, not in the systems that are of this world. I'm going to be confident in the goodness of a God and a Father who loves me.
Yeah.
And so that's where I just,
and when you say it's going to be okay, you mean because Jesus has already won.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
because
like,
you don't just mean like, oh, prosperity gospel, it's gonna be fine.
No,
like
I like
we'll all come out of this and make money. Like that's not.
No, that's not what I mean at all.
Yeah.
Meaning that like the Lord has, like the Lord will provide, and if that means He's just going to provide less, and we're going to have to just make some life decisions, and like there is still goodness to be seen. There is still like He is still good.
Yeah.
And I think that perspective, like I'm reading this parenting book, and it's just like. I get very slowly because it's too much to read all at once. But the idea is like so much of our lives, so much of our parenting lives, and I'll tie this in, is like we have a very ownership parenting mentality. These kids are mine.
Yes.
And I want them to act like I want them to act.
Yeah.
And this book, the premise of this book is like, we have just been entrusted these children by their actual father. And when you think about that, it just becomes like whoa, do I act that way? Am I being a good steward of these kids to lead them and guide them to know their Heavenly Father?
Yeah.
And so I feel like there are times when we're entrusted with other things in life that we try to grip it so tightly, and that once it starts to not go as well or whatever, we don't see, we're here
white
knuckled in front of our eyes, and we don't see that, oh, this was just entrusted to us. So like,
it's not really mine to begin with.
Yeah. Like I'm going to take it, like the line that we always say, I'm not going to grip it tightly, but I'm also not going to take it lightly. Like same with my kids. They've been entrusted to me by God. I'm not going to white knuckle grip them because I know that He will take better care of them. And so there's so much of that and that's why, like, especially with business, I definitely feel it, because I feel the financial pressure at times so incredibly strong, even though I know we're okay. Like I can look at our bank account, I can look at our business bank account, and I know that we're okay. Yeah. But there's still just this like unknown of what's going to come down the line, or how well something's going to do, or whatever, that just makes me, and any business owner right now is just like nodding their head. Yep. Because that's just a reality of owning a business. And so that's why, that was the first thing that popped in my head, was like, because of that, I need to remind myself. And I was literally just sitting there reminding myself of the verses that I just read, that like,
and the shirt you're wearing,
and the shirt that like, God is good no matter what happens. Even if all of this comes crashing down and we have to sell our house or whatever, God is still good. And that is the light, that is the life that I'm going to speak over me and my business and my family and just every scenario. Yeah. And so, but it's hard, because I think you just get so, you can get, and again, I think this is the best, like you can just white knuckle grip the things that you think you have control over.
And you having your hands in front of your eyes is really helpful, because that's very much like single focused. What's the phrase? Like forest for the tree or whatever. Yeah. My mind. Yeah. I don't mean this in a like, I believe a lie way. I feel very blank today because my brain has been like, how many hot dogs do we need? What's going on for dinner? What beach are we going to?
Are you sure you can finish all that yogurt?
I have so many kids I'm counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're all here. I feel that. Yep. But yeah. That's really,
You're doing great.
That's really good. I wrote down a couple notes that like I need to be aware of my what I'm speaking to myself internally. I need to continue to change that to be what God says about me, so that I can then, from what's within, that can be what comes out. Like my friend Bianca and I are always like, how are you doing? Like, how's your internal world versus your external? Because like we know that they're very connected for us. And I think they are for a lot of people. Yeah. But when I feel like my house is in shambles, my insides are in shambles, and vice versa. And so, and if I don't fix something, my internals going to become external, and it's all going to be crazy.
All of a sudden I can't eat gluten.
Right. And so I know that's big for me with the Speak Life, but then I wrote down 2 other things, which is like, my note says withhold coins, which like I've talked about how in the coin episode, and even the episode before that got us to that one. Coin talk. That I always have this feeling that I'm going to run out, not really of like money or food or anything like that, but like energy and time. Like I'm going to run out of energy and time. So I'm not going to spend it now, because, oh gosh, what if I need it later and I don't have it? Have I ever gotten there and not had it and had a meltdown? No. But I still feel this way.
Right.
And so sometimes I can do that with like, now I'm talking about the very specific version of Speak Life that's encouragement. I can sometimes withhold encouragement that I feel prompted to say because I'm like, oh, that might cost me some coins to say that. Like, and so I don't say it. And I just like, that makes me sad to think that I'm not speaking it over people, especially when I feel like I'm supposed to. And then I also wrote down the note, what do we lose? I was listening to a podcast, and again, I don't listen to many, but one the other day, he was talking about a phrase his wife says, and they were talking about celebrating. And I guess her phrase is like, what do we lose when we celebrate? Nothing. And I feel similarly with like, you know, I think you could apply that to almost anything like that. You
like
know,
Josh and Christy Straub.
like what do I lose in speaking life?
Like
literally nothing.
Yeah, one of the questions they ask when their kids interrupt them and they're like, "Can you play with us?" They have to literally answer the question, "Why can't I right now?" And sometimes they have an answer, like I have a phone call, I have a Zoom call, I have a coaching session or whatever.
I'm making 85 hot dogs. I can't right now. Yeah.
I just want to lie on the beach and eat hot dogs.
Hey, we did it.
And so, you know, but they ask, why can't I play right now?
Yeah.
And that's similar
and those like big open-ended, like check your perspective.
Yeah.
Like, and so you talking about speaking it over the business and speaking it over our kids. And we do those things. 100%. I'm not saying we don't, but I need to remember, what do I lose in throwing all my coins onto the table there with my dominoes and like, in saying it.
And it's interesting.
In saying it, whatever version that is for me. And if I feel like I'm fumbling over it, or I've been feeling, gosh, I don't want to cry, but I know that I will.
Do it. People
do it. Weep openly onto your carpet. I've really been feeling like I am supposed to, I've been hearing this very clearly. That's where I'm like, dang it. No, it's from the Lord. It's so
Are
clear.
you saying see the world or see world?
That I'm supposed to write. And I'm like, okay, I felt that for a while. And then I'm like, you mean like write in my journal? Like write a book?
Dear
like
bro,
write.
How are you? I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
My brother, it was so annoying today. He was so loud during my clarinet lesson. It was ridiculous.
We are quoting an actual journal.
Actual journal entries from me in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Bye, diary. See you tomorrow. XOXO. Brooke. P.S. We had hot dogs for dinner. And so there's a lot of hot dog talk. Where was I going with this?
Feeling like you need to write.
Yes, feeling like I'm supposed to write. And I still think I am supposed to write something maybe that's more like public. I don't know. But I felt even clearer in the last probably 2 to 3 weeks that I'm supposed to write people letters.
Oh, this is new to me too.
It's gonna make me cry. And for whatever reason, and this was one of those, like, I didn't know I thought this. I didn't know I thought this until I realized, oh, why don't I do that? It must be because I think this. Mm-hmm. I have felt like that writing something down is a cop-out. That if I can't say it out loud,
right,
I guess I don't mean it as much, or it doesn't count, or...
Which is crazy because we follow a literal book that's been written.
A literal book. Yeah, and a person in a relationship, blah, 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 all of that. But like, I've been feeling like if I do feel too embarrassed or too like word fumbly, I should write it down because I'm afraid I won't say it if I don't write it down. And so I've been feeling like I'm supposed to speak life in letter form.
In the written word.
And I need to believe that is like
that matters.
Enough.
Yeah. I mean, it is enough. I just literally at the beginning of the episode, I was like, I can't read too many reviews because I am learning to allow them to be truthful.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to believe the lie that these people are making this stuff up.
Right.
Or that they, like I'm going to believe them.
Yes. And so I was not expecting to share that, but
it's good.
That, like, when I think, okay, how do if I look at your other question, like, talk about the ways we try to speak life to each other and to ourselves. Like, I often don't do it in person. I'm a person who's very comfortable with silence. I'm talking about the actual speaking part of this phrase, speak life.
You like silence?
I'm very comfortable with silence. It does not make me feel weird.
I don't know if I've ever really
I also often am silent because of my voice. And so it's like compounded.
Yeah.
And so I will be okay
Which,
not saying much.
Lots of comments on how great you sound lately.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will be okay, like just not really saying much and hanging out with somebody. And then I'm like, am I going to be the man in Inception who's, you know what I mean? Who's like so full of regrets because I've never actually said it. And again, that's the like, okay, so I have to be able to say it. I have to be able to sit my parents down or sit my kids down and like word vomit some speech. Like that's not very realistic. Yeah. That's not really how people.
Also like there are so many people in this world. I mean, we were watching Alone and a couple of those people are like, I just, hope my dad is proud of me or I hope this they are, because people need to hear it. Like, and they don't just need to hear it once. Like you can't just sit your kids down at 15 and say, hey, I'm proud of the person you've been all these 15 years and I'll be proud of the person you'll be for the next 40 or 50 or 60 or whatever.
Right.
Like
checked box.
Like, no, it is a constant reassurance.
Yes.
And that's why we make these reminders is because like I constantly need to be reminded to walk in love, to choose joy, to not to worry.
Because I have my bracelets on. Yeah. That say so stuff because I can't only wear one shirt a day.
And guess what, babe? We sell words that are written down.
See? And that's where I'm like, where did I get this idea? It's a lie. Where did I get this lie that, hey, if you can't say it out loud, it doesn't count. It's a cop out. Anyway. So that's a whole thing.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. I feel like I had one other thing one thing. So I feel like, the speaking, which is obviously not a touchy subject, that makes it sound, but like literally speaking voice, like that's a thing for me. We all know that. But then I'm like, okay, so if I get the confidence and I start to like exercise the muscle memory of just like choosing joy, I'm going to speak life. But I agree that life is it's not just words of encouragement. It's not just this single lane. And so I feel like life is the fruits of the spirit. Like when I think about life as like this complete package deal, like I hope that I'm speaking love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, like all of those.
Goodness.
And faithfulness,
gentleness.
There you go. Gentleness.
Gentleness is one of them, TJ.
You forget every time. Gentleness and self-control. Like I hope that I'm speaking that whole package deal.
Yeah.
And not just like, all right, well, just, we'll get through it. Yeah. I'll pray about it. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, you should pray about it.
Right. But
and so so it's interesting you say the muscle memory thing. And so we've actually had this conversation where you're like, oh, I need to tell someone something. Like I need to thank someone for something or do something. And I'll just say, do it right now. Mm-hmm. I'll say, literally get on your phone, find your phone. Okay. First, find your watch.
Okay. Charge your watch.
Okay. Charge your watch.
To put your watch on, to ping your phone, to find your phone, to text somebody. You know what? Forget it. Use my phone.
Your phone is dead.
It can't ping it. Yeah.
But I often say, like, do it now because you'll either one, talk yourself out of it, or two, you'll just literally forget, not out of like any sort of negativity, but you'll just,
my mind will move on to other things.
And so
hot dogs.
One of the ways you're pumped for these hot dogs.
We're having hot dogs tonight. I mean, am I excited about it? Yes. I haven't had a hot dog in a long time.
Don't judge us.
Babe, they're jalapeno cheddar.
Ooh.
I mean,
that ain't bad.
How am I not supposed to think about that all day?
That ain't bad.
Costco.
3 words for you. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself 2011.
But one thing that I do, and this is the way that I speak life to people, I'm a pretty encouraging guy. That just comes naturally to me. So like, I don't know.
This topic is not a major struggle for you. You probably need to speak it over yourself and your situations.
1,000%. And that's why I started off with the business and that just little story, because I was literally like, the notes were on my computer on one screen.
Because you have 2 screens.
And I'm literally on this other screen just being like, I don't know what we're going to do. Like,
internally spiraling.
But I guess I'll start Googling bridges and that'll be fun. And like, we'll make a thing out of it. It'll be like a game. Hey, we live under a bridge now. And so I'm speaking life over the weird rabbit hole of sorrow. I'm still encouraging our family in that.
Yeah.
But I'm not encouraging myself that like God is good and he's provided and he will continue to provide. And whatever that looks like, it'll be enough. And that is what I literally was sitting there saying that to myself. And then Brooke and I, like when Brooke came in and was like, what's wrong? It wasn't this like, oh, we're going to die. Like we were able to have a really good, helpful, healthy conversation. So there's definitely areas where I need to improve for me personally. And honestly, I would say one way that has been a huge help is like being consistent with exercise. Like I used to speak about myself and the way I looked so negatively. And I
internally and
internally
in and out, you would say things.
And
probably more so in, right? I mean,
100%,
don't we all?
Yeah. And I think that's something that's common for everybody. And so literally just taking the action of just being consistent with that has allowed me to just speak more life that like, I can do this. I can reach that goal. I can, and for me, it's never been the goal has always been, I want to feel okay taking my shirt off at the beach. I don't want to have to think about it a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm getting there. And which is incredible. And so like, there's just improvement and encouragement of myself in that.
Speaking life, love, joy, peace, patience.
Yeah.
It's going to take time.
And so like, I don't feel like I struggle to speak life to Brooke or to my girls. But one way that I really try to do it is like, if I think of someone as random as it may be, I text that person.
Yeah.
And I might think like, for example, there was a friend of mine who we used to work at the same place. We went to high school together and then we worked at the same place for a while. And one of the older guys that worked there made this joke one time about,
you guys were talking about a new product that was coming.
And he's like, oh, back up the money truck. And so that phrase has stuck in our personal lexicon.
Oh, you and I say it all the time.
Let's
back up the money truck.
Beep, beep, beep. What's that? Oh, it's the money truck backing up.
Is it dumping or collecting?
Well,
are we dumping the
right
money
now it feels like
into the truck? and that is our truck taking it away. Because he meant it like, geez, that's easy money. Back up the money truck. Whereas a money truck dumping money.
No. The product, we were getting product delivered, and he's like, "Oh, it's like a money truck just packed up."
Got it. Okay.
Like the potential to sell all this was going to be so instant and easy.
Which is funny. Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it was like our best selling product.
Then.
So
okay.
Anyways,
back up the money truck.
So I think of my friend, and I think of that funny phrase, and so the way I train myself to speak life and flex that muscle is I text that person almost instantly.
Yes.
As I'm thinking about him, I text him. I said. So his name's John. I said, "Hey, John, I just remembered that thing that Curtis used to say, and it made me laugh, and it made Brooke laugh, and like we still say it all the time."
Yeah.
And so we had just like a maybe like a 6 back and forth conversation.
Yeah.
Quick update on how each of us are doing, and that was it. And but I don't know what John's doing. I don't know, like, is he having a good day? Is he having a bad day? Like, and so for me, I just think that the Lord puts people in our minds, however ridiculous of a way that happens, so that we are conscious enough to be like, that person matters. I'm going to tell them they matter by telling them this story. Right. They have made an impact on my life, and they're going to hear about it. And so if you ever feel like someone, has popped into my head, or maybe popped into your head 2 times or 3 times in a week, and you're ignoring that text or that phone call, like I would say one way that you can speak life is stop ignoring it and just take action. And sometimes you might feel real, like, because I've called people before and I felt like no one calls anybody anymore. and so
I know you answer, "Hey, what do you need? Is something wrong?"
Yeah.
Like literally, why are you calling me?
And I'm just like, just checking in and seeing how you're doing. And like, you would be surprised. Like I've called grown men who run businesses and who are very successful, and you will be surprised how much that means to them. Like it is not a silly thing to do. And so if you're thinking of someone or someone's popping in your head, my encouragement to speak life to them would be to just like.
And then when you're on the phone, I'm not saying avoid all hard topics, but like not only like follow the prompt to be like, I'm going to call them and speak to them, but then like try to infuse life, fruits of the Spirit into the conversation. Because I'm going back to the verse, one of the first ones you read. Whoever would love life and seek good days must keep their tongue from evil and their lips from deceitful speech. And so I think about like, I mean, we haven't even touched on the topic of like gossip and like all that kind of stuff. That could probably be a whole other episode just about like kind of what that looks like now. And I feel like how quickly it can happen and how you have to train. I feel like first you have to train yourself just not to engage.
Yeah. 100%.
Like that, or this for me, I had to train myself not to even go there. And then it took me some time to have the courage to be like, now I'm almost going to combat it.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite ready to have my sword out because I was just like, I'm taking my sword out of this conversation and I'm just going to sit here and not partake.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I've I've walked in that direction, that muscle memory long enough that I hope that that's not, because no part of that is speaking life in any way.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I hope that you wouldn't call the person you're prompted to and then get sucked into a conversation like that. That's what I was trying to say. Like, be conscious of the conversation then too, because man, our words have so much power.
Yeah, and so then the other way I was going to say that a really good way to speak life, especially this is for your kids. So I started reading this book called Habits of the Household, and in the intro, I think he talked about how he was like feeling like his life was chaotic, and he like
several kids,
and he's
couple
just like,
boys,
we don't have any sort of rhythm or routine or whatever, and so he's like, I'm going to do a bedtime blessing, and
he felt like bedtime was just sheer chaos. Yeah. Nothing was anchoring it.
Yeah, and so he tried this blessing, and we've done it now ever since we literally did it that night that I read that intro, and I had the book in my hand because I was like, I got to remember what it says.
Yeah.
And so we've done this now every night for
at least 3 months.
And so like what we do is we lay our girls down, they go through
it's still chaos till until they lay down.
Yeah, their bones don't work. They've never brushed their teeth before. All of a sudden they don't
want to wear pajamas. She wants to sleep in a dress. Yeah. She's hot. She's cold. Yeah. Where's Lovey?
You guys have all been there if you have kids. But once they're down and in bed, this is our nighttime blessing. And we say, do you see my eyes? And I've stolen this from the book, and he told us, you can steal this. Do you see my eyes looking at your eyes? Do you know that I love you? And they're answering these questions.
Yes.
Do you know that I love you no matter how many bad things you do?
Yes.
Do you know that I love you no matter how many good things you do?
Yes.
Who else loves you that way?
And then they list
1,000 people, but we always make sure
all the parents, all the friends, all the pets, then rando neighbors.
Yeah.
And then they always get God, Jesus in there.
And then we say, who loves you more than anyone on this planet?
Jesus,
God. And then we say, rest in his love. And so this is us speaking life to our kids every single day. And so like in the moment, there are times where like they won't look at us, or they're like, yes, I'll say, who else loves you like that? Poop. Like they'll just be kids.
Mac and cheese, the cats.
They'll just be, squirrely little kids. But what makes me emotional about that is that like over a year, they've now heard that 365 times. Over 2 years, solve for X, double that.
Yeah.
Over 10 years, and you just start to think about the moments when they do something bad, and they think, do you know I love you no matter how many bad things you do? They've now heard that light. They've heard that spoken to them over and over again by their mom and their dad.
Yeah.
It, to me, has this incredible power that when that moment comes, they feel safe and confident enough to come to us and say, hey, I messed up.
Yeah.
I know that you still love me. I messed up.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Right.
And that is where life happens. And so I would just encourage every parent out there to start a bedtime blessing. And it can be super basic and simple. You can find habits of the household and take it from there. Or you can there's times when they're too squirrely, and I'll just tickle them, and I'll just say, do you feel the joy of the Lord? So
you tickle the daylights out of them
until they can't breathe.
They call it the tickle blessing.
Or sometimes I'll lay on them, and I'll just be like, do you feel the weight of God's love for you? And
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Yeah.
And so I just think there's such power in that. And it's not always easy. Sometimes we just want to close the door and go sit on the couch.
Well, what's really cool is, and we remember a lot of it when we forget to do it. It's that I thought you did it and you thought I did it. Is like the few times I've started to head out of the room and the lights turn off, and it's usually Sunny, who's 4.
Yeah.
She's like, you didn't do my blessing.
Yeah.
Like she needs it and wants to hear it. And what I love specifically about the one that we do from the book is that I sometimes, if the day that we just had allows for this, I'll say, do you see my eyes? Yes. Do you see my eyes looking at your eyes? Do you know that I love you no matter what bad things you do? Yes. Do you know that I love you no matter good things you do? Yes. And then I'll insert a very specific good or bad 100%. Scenario.
I do the same thing.
Yes. Do you know that I love you even when you
don't eat your dinner?
Yes. Or even when you're mad at me for most of the day.
Yeah.
Or when you tell me you don't want to be in this family anymore. Sunny's new line. You've ruined my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to be your daughter. She told me that today when I made her switch car seats at the park where I gave her donuts. And so if it happened, really long ago in the day, I try not to re-bring it up.
Yeah.
But if it was in the last hour and a half pre-bedtime, I'll insert it. And it's crazy how her manner will, specifically Sunny, who's 4, her manner
June does it too.
will change. That's true. And she'll be like, because as she's looking at me, she's like, she knows the answer. She knows that I love her even so. And it's just like so cool. I mean, I think like this is not a diss on my parents in any way, but my parents prayed with us before bed and like did that kind of a stuff, but something more like repetitive and more just like, there's like such safety in those repetitive words in that kind of speaking life. Like that would have been really cool.
Yeah. Compounded over a whole childhood.
Yeah.
And, and like we started at 7 with June, like Daisy will start to get it.
Yeah.
As soon as she can say yes, Right. But yeah. So anyways, we're at an hour and 5.
Wow.
But yeah, I just like, I don't know. I felt like this week, specifically with the collection coming out and this verse of this shirt that says Speak Life, we would just encourage you guys that like your words and the things you say have an incredible power over you and the people around you.
Yeah.
And so be mindful.
Yeah.
And, look up those scriptures, like just search verses about speaking, verses about, your words, like, and write down the ones that you need to be reminded of. We just read just a small portion of the ones that are out there because, the culture is overwhelmingly negative right now.
Yeah.
Like it is just coursing through the veins of culture.
Yeah.
And as Christians, we should not like if the negative stream is running, if the current is a negative stream, we need to be swimming upstream. Like we need to look different, sound different, act different. And a way that we can do that is literally by the way that we speak and what we say and how we like often, losing my words.
It's okay.
And in a negative situation where we like say that God is still good, like that is just an incredible, powerful thing. And so just encouragement to you as you go through your week to do that. So for those of you who've made it this far, thank you. The code that we're going to use for the podcast audience is hot dog.
Oh, yes.
So
love it.
We might have a new code next week. They'll be worth the same amount. But
so you can choose.
So you can choose, but the first one
thrown out there is hot dog.
August 25th, 9 p.m. will be hot dog.
Just kidding.
No one knows how to spell that. So
yeah, no.
So yeah, because we just really, really appreciate those of you that spend every week with us, and we want to make sure that you feel loved by us, because we certainly feel loved by you. The collection comes out August 25th, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Hawaii. There will be items that are actually limited.
Yep.
Like
this stuff will sell out.
Yeah. So we just want to make, and we'll note all of those when we get to it.
Yeah.
But
cool.
Anything else you want to add? Upstairs or downstairs?
Downstairs.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Okay, I love you. Bye.